Archery and the art of reducing karma through yoga. The law of karma, a universal principle, as you sow, so shall you reap. Karma yoga is the yoga that emphasizes doing yoga while also doing actions in the world, or meditation in action. The ancient sages of yoga and Vedanta use the metaphor of archery as a teaching tool for how to work with and reduce karma through the process of yoga meditation. In yoga meditation, karma is of three kinds. 1. Sanchita, the vast storehouse of yet unseen impressions. 2. Kriyamana, those currently in front of us to decide or act on. 3. Prarabdha, consequences already playing themselves out. Similarly, there are three kinds of arrows. 1. The arrows in the quiver, which are Sanchita karma. 2. Is the arrows in the hand, and those are the Kriyamana karma. 3. Is the arrows in flight, or Prarabdha karma. The metaphor of the arrows is a practical tool for daily life. The mind easily recalls the visual imagery which serves as a reminder to do a good job of shooting the arrows of actions and speech. The quality of our decisions leads to the quality of our actions, which means the level of our archery ability. The aim of the arrows also determines the quality of the consequences that come back from those actions. Those consequences come to rest in the bed of our subconscious as deep impressions or samskaras, which determine our karma. These samskaras will at some point lead to further thoughts, speech, and actions that again lead to more consequences. The key is becoming a good shot with the arrows in our hand, while accepting that some of our previously shot arrows are causing painful, unavoidable consequences that need to be dealt with wisely. Karma literally translates as actions, and is the playing out of the actions resulting from the latent habit patterns or samskaras that are stored in the depth of the mind. Arrows in the quiver, Sanchita karma. The karmas in the quiver are the accumulated deep impressions, samskaras, that have been collected over our entire history. Here's a formula. Current karma equals old samskaras plus new samskaras added minus old samskaras that have played out. These arrows and deep driving habits in the quiver are called Sanchita karma. Because of the process of playing out old samskaras while new, more useful ones are added, it takes time for one's balance of karma to improve. In other words, it doesn't happen overnight, recognizing that God, grace, or Guru might help. Along with the playing out of our current karmas in flight, we also know that there are many predispositions, habit patterns, or samskaras that are there awaiting an opportunity to come into action. Though we may not know exactly what these are, by observing our actions we can infer some of these predispositions. By a good job of preparation, balancing life, and learning to be a good archer, one can eventually examine the samskaras in the quiver during meditation and yoga nidra, yogic sleep. In this way, deeper habit patterns can be attenuated or eliminated through meditation, provided one has become trained as a good archer. Yoga science speaks of colored klishta and uncolored aklishta thought patterns. When these deeply colored thought patterns are regulated and their coloring has been reduced through good archery skills, then one may move on to experience self-realization. Arrows in flight, Prarabdha karma. The arrows in flight are the karmas that have already started to play themselves out, either in our inner world or in the external world. These are the arrows that have already been shot. The arrows and our actions still in flight are called Prarabdha karma. An arrow in flight cannot be called back. It must complete its journey. Thoughts, speech, and actions that have been set in motion cannot be called back. They too will run their course, bringing consequences or fruits. Some say that this karma can be altered by grace. New decisions can be made that balance out the effects of previously shot arrows. This is a good thing to do as it improves the overall mixture of arrows in flight. However, the original arrows still move towards their fruition. The lesson for the seeker of self-realization is to accept that there are physical, mental, emotional, social, cultural, familial, financial, or material consequences of all of our previous actions, the shot arrows. These simply need to be accepted as realities from which we now move forward in our spiritual quest. The arrows in flight need to be dealt with from the stance of the here and now, in the context of how we shoot today's arrows. Arrows in hand, Kriyamana karma. The arrows that are in our hands today are the ones that we currently have a choice about where to aim and how to shoot. The arrows and choices in our hands today are called Kriyamana karma, also called Agami karma or Vartamana karma. To be aware of the nature of wants, wishes, desires, attractions, or aversions is very important. By being aware of our motivations, we can consciously shoot the arrows by choice rather than unconscious habit. Through cultivating awareness and practicing conscious arrow shooting, we become better at aiming our arrows as well. We make good decisions about our thoughts, emotions, actions, and speech rather than having these happen solely out of conditioned response. So the formula for archery is, first, awareness of motivations allows us to learn to shoot arrows out of choice rather than habit. Then, through conscious arrow shooting, the aim gets better with practice. As the aim gets better, the outcomes are more favorable. If the outcomes are more favorable, net karma goes down. Behind our actions are many thoughts, emotions, desires, samskaras, and primitive urges. By being aware of the process leading to actions, we can make wise choices about those actions. One may have either a few arrows or many arrows in the quiver, but what is important is how we deal with the karma presenting to us in our lives today. This is the art of archery and reducing karma. The law of karma is universal. As you sow, so shall you reap. The words and cultural contexts may differ, but the principles remain the same. Learning to be a master archer is the key to mastery over the bondage of karma. Where to aim our arrows is a critically important question. If we don't know what the target is, then it is rather difficult to aim well. Our arrows are shot almost at random at every want, wish, desire, attraction, or aversion that pops up into the mind. Deciding what is the target means to understand the purpose of life. If the archer has a sense of the purpose of life, using whatever words best describe that personally, then there is a target that all of the arrows can be directed towards. It means that one's decisions are increasingly made in accordance with what brings one closer to the chosen target. For one who chooses self-realization as the target, then decisions are made on the basis of what brings one closer or leads one further away from that goal. Improving your aim. Improving your aim is the most important aspect of the archery metaphor. It means asking our deep wisdom, is this useful or not useful, about specific options in front of us? Does this bring me closer or further away from the goal of enlightenment? Should I do it or not? By consulting within in this way, answers will come. In the four functions of mind, the part that knows, decides, judges, and discriminates is called buddhi. It is through the cultivation of buddhi that one becomes a better archer, training manas, the lower mind, to follow the wise instructions of buddhi rather than just following the old habit patterns in chitta, the storehouse of samskaras or deep impressions and habits. It works something like this. Once the target or purpose is known, when buddhi can make choices and when manas will listen, then the arrows of action are shot in more accurate ways, and there are fewer negative consequences as well as a greater number of useful consequences. These useful impressions are stored in the quiver. In turn, these arise to motivate further useful actions, and we experience an overall reduction in our karma. Through this repeated cycle of utilizing buddhi to determine the aim of the arrows of action, one becomes a better and better archer. As we become a better archer, the process of reducing karma works better and better. An important key to shooting our arrows well has to do with the question of who is to receive the fruits of the actions. There are three general choices of where to give the fruits of actions. 1, the fruits come to me. 2, the fruits are given to others. 3, the fruits are offered to God. The question of what to do with the fruits of actions is an important part of karma yoga, the yoga of action, which prepares one to do the deeper practices leading to self-realization. Consequences of actions breed more actions and, in turn, more consequences. This cycle happens because of one's attachment or aversions to the fruits of the actions. However, the more one practices selfless service, giving away the fruits of the actions to others, then the less those fruits turn into negative consequences that feed the cycle. Letting the stray arrows fall. When we start improving our aim and thus creating fewer attachments and aversions, we also have to deal with the arrows that are already in flight. Some of these in-flight arrows are painful, some are pleasurable. Whether bringing pain or pleasure, the consequences of these previously shot arrows continue to come until those arrows find their final destination and completion. There is a simple process to reducing the in-flight arrows. We allow the arrows to fall where they are headed, accepting that some of them were poorly aimed. Past decisions are bringing current consequences. We accept these consequences and their responsibilities as we stay focused on the arrows in hand. We allow the old arrows to run their course in such a way that we don't add more negative consequences to come. Because of these stray arrows, one may easily become diverted from the path of self-realization. Those old arrows shot long ago continue to come and cause problems. Often what happens is that due to these old arrows still in flight, we end up firing more arrows along the same off-course path. We end up having just as many arrows in the air that are off course rather than seeing the number go down. The solution is to be very kind with ourselves as we cultivate persistence and patience. We may want spiritual energy, grace, or Shakti to come to us, yet one of the first forms of that comes as determination. To have, cultivate, or pray for such determination is an essential practice on the journey to self-realization. Reducing the arrows in the quiver, sanchita karma. The entire collection of the deep impressions, samskaras, that forms our past karma is the prarabdha karma. Mostly it sits in latent form until such time as some of it is ready to come to life, first in the mind field and then in the external world through actions and speech. As these impressions turn into action, their consequences often come back through the senses, get processed by the mind, and make still more impressions in the deep unconscious. The cycle of impression, action, consequence, impression goes on and on. However, by being more mindful of the nature of our choices and actions, we can allow our karmas to play themselves out, while not replacing them with new binding consequences being added to the quiver. Then we can have a reduction in the total karmas stored in those samskaras. The combination of having fewer arrows in the quiver and fewer negative arrows in flight leads the aspirant to do an even better job of examining and attenuating those remaining samskaras during meditation. Paradoxically, the karmic arrows in the quiver might come to the surface in big clusters. It can seem that problems in life are getting worse. The life, consequences, and actions coming forth might appear to be very unspiritual. This is the reason that there are stories of saints doing outrageous behaviors as some of the few remaining karmas manifest. The experience of the self does not depend on having 100% of the samskaras removed, such that there is no more karma. Self-realization does not stop the flow of the karmas playing out, nor necessarily remove the latent karmas in the storehouse. Although some of the seeds of karma may become so weakened or burned in the fire of consciousness that they can no longer bear fruit, others remain. At this phase of archery training, one has become a master archer and does an efficient job of working through the remaining karmas while remaining in the world but above the world. Being a peaceful archer. Having a good aim in decisions and actions of daily life reduces karma by having the new come into play as the old works itself out. The same process is also done during meditation. In the external world, the yogi allows the old karmas, the arrows in flight, to play themselves out. In the internal world, the yogi allows the old samskaras to play themselves out as the inner drama is observed from the vantage point of a witness. For this reason, both meditation and meditation in action are a part of archery and the art of reducing karma. In seated meditation, one allows the thought patterns to come forward, learns to be undisturbed, unaffected, and uninvolved in them. They come and they go. In this way, the intensity of the coloring of the deep impressions gradually attenuates. When the samskaras weaken through meditation, then they can be more easily played out in daily life. When the samskaras weaken through the actions of daily life, then they can more easily be played out in meditation. The two practices of meditation and meditation in action go hand in hand. Meditation in archery. Being a good archer does not in itself bring self-realization. Rather, it is a means of reducing and removing obstacles. Learning the art of archery reduces karma so that one can rest in the stillness and silence. Then, through the practices of meditation, contemplation, prayer, and remembering word or mantra, the self that has been there all along can be realized.